in a loaded NFC.
All right. Good defenses, good offenses in that game, and we have a guy right here that knows about both. Joining us right now from Maryland is a man who helped engineer one of the most dynamic offenses in NFL history with the Vikings. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. And guess what? He will be inducted into the Ravens Ring of Honor on Sunday. Woo. Please welcome to the show, Brian Billick.
Hey, what's up, Coach?
What's up, Coach?
How are we doing?
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Doing great. Doing great. Now, Coach, Sunday will be a celebration of your incredible 9-year tenure in Baltimore. What does this mean to be inducted into the Ring of Honor?
You know, I don't know that it's fully set in. It was 20 years ago that my family and I came here. And, you know, 20 years and coaching years are like dog years. You know, you got to multiply them. So that's a long time ago. And I don't know that it'll really hit me until I can walk into the stadium and see my name amongst some really great players that I was able to coach, Michael McCary, Peter Boulware, Matt Stover, and the guys that are going to go on there. Ozzie Newsome will eventually be there, obviously. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Haloti Ngata next year. So that really won't hit me until I see it. And most importantly, I'm going to have my 2 grandsons with me. They don't know me in that capacity. They just know me on TV and as Pop. So it's going to kind of be fun to see, for them to experience that whole experience at M&T Bank Stadium.
Coach Billick, you operated one of the greatest offenses ever in Minnesota. You take the Ravens job, and immediately the Ravens become one of the best defenses to ever play in the NFL. When you hear the word Baltimore Ravens, now that you call the games on radio and you do the preseason, what does that mean to you, and what is that franchise in the grand scheme of the NFL and history?
Well, I think they've established themselves. They have, obviously, the pedigree. When I got there, one of the things I'm most proud of is being part of, and I was just a part of, a tremendous group of people with a new franchise. You know, I got there and there was this goofy bird on the helmet, and, you know, it was like, is this NFL, really? But because of, obviously, what you do on the field and the legacy that we've been created, and obviously it carried on. Eric DeCosta now is the GM. John Harbaugh has been brilliant as the coach there. So, yeah, we still live in the Mid-Atlantic area, and so it has established a very real NFL legacy, and that's probably the thing I'm most proud of. And the fans are obviously, they're so interactive with it. It's a great venue. It's a great love for football. And so kind of changing that culture 20 years ago is the thing I'm maybe most proud of.
Coach, the past is fantastic. You were a huge part of that. But right now, the present for the Ravens is intoxicating. They have one of the most unique offenses with one of the most unique talents the league has ever seen at quarterback. What would it have been like for you, Coach, to roll up your sleeves and build an offense around Lamar Jackson?
Wow, what a spectacular talent. Greg Roman, who was also with me early in Baltimore, has done a phenomenal job. You know, in the summer when we were doing ITC, I sat with John Harbaugh, and I kind of used Cam Newton's 2017 year where he had 139 carries. And I said, Lamar Jackson, over and under on 139 carries. And he didn't blink. He said, oh, absolutely over. And they were thinking maybe 150, 160, 170 carries, which would be unprecedented. So we've seen both of that. We've seen Lamar Jackson, when he didn't have to run the ball, was brilliant in the opener against Miami with the 5 touchdowns. And then we saw the next week when he had to run for 120 yards to kind of carry that team. So if he can stay healthy, and that's always the big question, you combine that dynamic talent, the ability to run and throw, and what is always a really good Ravens defense, this team is for real, and they're going to be in the thick of it come playoff time.
We cannot wait. Coach, congratulations. We are so happy and excited for you to get inducted into the Ring of Honor this weekend during that game between the Ravens and the Browns. But you mentioned the whole family's in town for the festivities, and you mentioned your grandkids will be there. They're in town from Ohio. So I need to know, as a coach, what's the game plan here in ensuring that these two do not grow up to be Browns fans in the midst of all this hype going on there right now?
Yeah, that's good parenting. That's what it's going to take. Because I did have to call them and say, now the boys do know they can't be wearing their Baker Mayfield and OBJ jerseys, right? This isn't gonna work because we are in Baltimore. But you know what? This is going to be their first pro game that they've ever been to. So I'm excited about that. And obviously, where they are, they're huge Ohio State fans. Yeah, and they're going to be Browns fans to a degree. But I got a feeling they're going to be dressed in. I know my daughter. They're going to be dressed in the right purple and black and be yelling "Go Ravens."
Good to know.
Now, before we let you go, let's talk about Super Bowl 35 for a minute. That defense led by Ray Lewis stacks up against the greatest defenses of all time. The Ravens held the Giants to just 7 points. Did you know going into it or even during the game that the score would be so lopsided?
Well, we had great confidence. We had seen it time and again where we had played teams who had never played us before, really didn't know how physical and how fast we were, particularly on defense. And it shocks them. We played the Denver Broncos in the first round of the playoffs. They didn't cross the 50. We then played Tennessee, and they had played us. They were in our division at the time. So very good competitive game they knew. Then we played Oakland, the leading rushing team in the National Football League. They didn't run for they didn't run for a yard. It was amazing. And again, it shocks the system. So we had a great deal of confidence going in. The one score came on a special teams return. I think the players to this day will tell you the biggest thing they lament is they didn't get that shutout in the Super Bowl that was they were deserving of because they didn't score on that defense.
Coach, listen, we appreciate you joining us. We were talking during a commercial break, those of us who have worked with you. Your passion for the game, your intelligence for the game, it's evident every time you open your mouth. Well-deserved, man. One of our favorite dudes. Congratulations on the induction.
Guys, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Congrats, Coach.